So really, it boils down to sort of 5 tenets of integrated pest management, and those being how pest populations are influenced by the living and the non-living elements of the environment. Can you supplement the natural controls that are already there? Because there are very few things that aren't being impacted or controlled or consumed by other things. There are a few examples, interestingly. Velvet mites, for example. Nothing eats velvet mites very well because they're very bitter tasting. Can you alleviate the problem long term? Can you reduce pest levels? And maybe management, maybe the point at which management is successful is not eradication. Maybe it's just reduction. Sometimes it is eradication. For me, bed bugs, I want them every single one dead and gone, absolutely gone. That's the only way I can go with bed bugs. So the steps involved, I always try to go over some of this because although it's something that most people do automatically, it is important to make sure that you can identify these particular steps, particularly if you are involved in training other people as they become part of the industry. But inspecting and monitoring, 2 different things. So monitoring is ongoing monitoring, and I wish that pest management professionals could get paid better for doing monitoring in of itself, because you understand how complex that job is already and how dynamic these environments are. Inspecting is where we go in and we do an inspection, a pest audit or a pest conducive conditions audit at one particular point in time. And maybe that is something that's done really, really, really thoroughly once or twice a year, depending on the environment. But that is a different thing from then the ongoing monitoring, where you may focus your resources and time on those pest vulnerable areas, and depending on what kind of environment it is, if it's a restaurant, then you'll be checking where the dumpsters are, you'll be checking all of the pest proofing that's necessary, and all of that. It'll be different for different situations. Identification. Irrespective of where you are in the country, there's any number of people who will help pest management professionals. In many states, it's free of charge. So why wouldn't you? And then just constantly being involved, like everybody is today, about educating, ongoing training, and communicating constantly. And we talk about remediating pest conducive conditions, and I spend an awful lot of time addressing pest conducive conditions. And the great thing about this is that you can do this before there's a pest problem. And I understand that working with clients, sometimes before there's a problem is not when they're ready to spend some significant dollars on fixing something, but that is when you can save them considerable dollars in liability-related, court-oriented lawsuits that could keep or put them out of business entirely. So understanding your clients' vulnerabilities sometimes becomes part of your job as well, and sometimes selling people on the idea that they need to fix certain problems so that they don't have bigger ones is also sometimes some of what you do as professionals. So using the least risk monitoring and management options is right in the mix, but by no means is this all of integrated pest management. It is just one component of everything. Action plans and thresholds are always good strategies to use. Record keeping, whether it be legal or supplemental to what's legal, and keeping to policies, and storing pesticide products or tools of various kinds correctly is also important. And constantly evaluating your own methods and strategies. There's always something new. It's not always something you need. Sometimes it is. So keep on top of this rapidly advancing technology that the industry has.